ask questions, to reach out, to collaborate in the team, in the chat box. Get to know yourselves, get to share ideas, and you don't know what happened next. If you see that person or meet that person in your next event, or while you're in the airport or somewhere, and you'll be so surprised how this world is small. So to encourage you to share highlights on social media using our hashtag FTLAFRICA Fireside and hashtag FTLAFRICA Fireside and hashtag FTLA Fireside. I repeat again, our hashtag to share insight for this event is FTLA Fireside and hashtag FTL Africa. So please don't miss this opportunity to share the link, share the event, share your insight on your social media platform, on your post, and you have the link to the event is already in your chat, already in the chat box, so you can copy it and share and bring in your friends to join and get engaged and get empowered. So quickly, without any further ado, I move into the other part of it. And also, mind you, let me quickly drop this. So stay to the end. There's a scholarship to join the Nova 2, which is the Ignition Trail and AI Tech Leadership Program powered by FTL Africa. So there will be scholarship to join the next Nova 2. So stay behind. There'll be questions. There'll be an engagement. So just participate. Whatever you're asked to do, do it, and you'll be so shocked. You might be one of the next students for the Nova 2 AI Tech Leadership Program. So about FT Africa. FT Africa is a non-profit tech ecosystem, an AI tech leadership environment that empowers a 3-tier training framework, a live conversation series like the Global Hour and Fireside Chats, and our tech leadership awareness training series. Our initiative center across African perspective on technology, AI, and responsible leadership. And we approach every conversation with empathy at the core. We believe leadership isn't just about guiding people, it's about shaping the system, stories, and technology that will define our future. That's why tonight is a conversation that brings that to light. I would like to start rolling the drums. Without bringing in our guest, our special guest. We have the singular honor to bring in William Ifeanyi Moore. Is a writer, poet, and creative thought leader whose work explores themes of identity, heritage, and human condition. His project, including his acclaimed literary works and thought-provoking talks, inspire deep reflection on how we are and how we tell our stories. With the rise of artificial intelligence, his voice offers a timely reminder that technology must serve humanity, not erase its essence. William Moore, it's an honor to have you here. Welcome to FT Africa Fireside Stage. It's a pleasure to have you here, sir. Can you say a brief word?
Hey, hello. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are loud and clear.
Fantastic, fantastic. First of all, I just want to say it's really nice to be here, and seeing how new the AI technology is, to even see that there are already organizations with young people that are sort of pushing in the direction to make sure that Africa doesn't fall behind. Because I don't know if you guys sometimes you hear people get scared about AI and say stuff like, oh, it's gonna take all our jobs, or it's gonna completely ruin the creative industry, and then people develop this fear for it. And just generally, I try to tell people, look, this is like someone figuring out how to a tractor, and you feel bad that the horses are not going to be working anymore, or that you just have to get with the times. So yeah, it's fantastic to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's good to have so brief and so insightful. So I'd like to just talk about a bit about our guest tonight. Please join me in welcoming William Moore. As I said, I'll look outside again, and I'll call him a multifaceted, creative, and communication strategist whose work spans literature, corporate storytelling, um, sports, and media production, esports rather. So William is the author of several acclaimed works, including 13 Moons, which has been downloaded over 65,000 times, and built a community of more than 20,000 fans. The Sky Sage, which was named Abuja Literary Society Peak of the Year in 2022, and Lonely Roads, shortlisted for the prestigious Miles Moreland Scholarship. Beyond literature, his creative reach extends into television and performance. He was the principal scriptwriter for African Knockout, the first MMA reality show in Africa, aired across the continent on Super Sports and now available in Netflix. His poetry drama, Poet by the Bottle, opened the Lagos Photo Festival. William also shaped campaigns for global and African brands, including Durex, Sterling Bank, Guardian, and Centurion Law Group, combining storytelling with strategy to drive meaningful audience engagement. It in esports is the executive producer of 88 Gamers Club, Nigeria's leading gaming community, successfully staging for tournaments with thousands of participants and international partners. Currently serving as communications senior officer at AfriLabs, William continues to design innovative media strategies for major events such as the AfriLabs annual gathering, pushing the boundaries of how stories can inform, entertain, and connect communities. A true bridge between culture, creativity, and commerce. William embodies the future of African storytelling in all its form. Thank you once again. And as I bring to you William Ifeanyi Moore, it's good to have you, sir. It's good to have you, sir. So without any further ado, I bring you to the stage. So let's kick it. Before comments, William, I would like to say this to the entire audience: share the word, spread the word. We have a handsome and beautiful icon joining us today. Please don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Make everyone join across the globe. Post it on your WhatsApp status and across on your social media platforms. Let everybody get to come and learn and get inspired. Thank you once again, Mr. William Moore. Thank you. Let's move ahead. So, William, I'd like to ask this. I would like to say, let's start with this. For those who might be discovering your work for the first time, can you share a bit about your journey, your background, your path into storytelling, and how AI has come in to redefine it, and how identity has shaped your voice as a writer?
Okay, so I'm going to try and sort of face the question chronologically. So we'll start from my journey. So my journey starts like most writers, I guess, from as long as I could remember. I was fascinated with stories. I would make up stories and sort of like, I don't know if you guys do this when you went to school, where if people had not seen a movie, especially in boarding school, because we used to be bored, you would have to tell a movie, and I was sort of like our chief movie teller, and I used to make up this like fascinating stories. And then by the time I was I believe 16, I had completed 4 novels, 3 of which will never see the light of day because they are so horrible. But the last one would later get a bit edited to become Lonely Roads. I had this big idea that I was going to go to UK and I was going to study politics, philosophy, and economics, and it would, sort of like expand my mind with my writing. But my father had other ideas. So typical Nigerian family, I ended up doing a classic science. I did pharmacy. So I sort of spent the uni days, I would say informally training in writing. So I was obviously in pharmacy school, but I would read stuff and just watch stuff around writing generally. And by the time I was done with pharmacy, in school, I decided, okay, you know what, I'm definitely going full on into writing. I moved back to Nigeria and I took my first job with Omenka Gallery as a writer for them. So this is an art gallery that they do sort of like they do a lot of like art writing with art critique, theater critique, magazine kind of writing. And then from there I started and from there I thought, okay, what I need to do now is just to get my name out, especially because I didn't have sort of like the professional degree. So I decided that I was going to have to do a column for Bella Niger. So I just randomly wrote them that, oh, I would like to run a column for you, blah blah blah, here are some samples. I sent them, I think it was 3 articles, and they really liked it and they decided to give me a column. And it's very interesting. I think a lot of people then would ask me, oh, like, who's your connect? And I'd be like, yeah, you could just write to them. And if it's nice, they will take it. Shortly after that, Lonely Rose got published. And there's a whole funny story behind that. But anyways, but yeah, shortly after that, Lonely Rose got published. And then I think either the year it got published or the year after, it was shortlisted for the Miles Morland Scholarship for African Writers. So I sort of thought, okay, maybe I'm not, maybe I'm not so bad. And then I started working on 13 Moons. And I think I moved jobs to Pulse, where I was now a copywriter for a lot of brands. And then in my sort of like personal life, I was working on 13 Moons then with my best friend, Medivore, and then we put that out. All the time is all mixed in my head now because it's like a span of like 10 years. And they were downloading it so much. Yeah, and then and then after lonely after 30, after 13 Moons, I get a call just randomly, and I'm told to come to some hotel at Landmark that they need a writer. I don't even know what it's about. And I get there and they're like, yeah, there's a Netflix show, it's a reality mixed martial arts reality show, and they need a script writer, and someone recommended me, blah blah blah. And I was like, yeah, this sounds good. And the show at the time was airing on Super Sports, and it was actually executive produced by Kamaru Usman, the Nigerian former UFC, I think middleweight champion. Don't quote me on the championship belt he had. But yeah, so did that, and then started working on Sky Sage. Then Sky Sage came out. That was also very well received, and it's just sort of like it's just been a succession of just building one thing in front of the other. And the way these things happen is if you do good work, it will generally open the door to somebody else recommending you, or and most of the things that I was able to do were largely from recommendations based on either somebody saw my work or somebody asked someone, oh, do you know how to do this? And then AI sort of got into it, I guess. I would say maybe a year-ish now. Initially, I was super skeptical. I remember my friend called me and he said, oh, dude, they've made a machine like you. And I found it hilarious. I said, oh, they've made a machine like you. And one of the things I used to do with this, my friend, when we were in uni, I hope my father is not watching this. We would go to these Arab boys and we would tell them, okay, I'll write your essay for you. And if you get a first, you give me £300. If you got a 2-1, you give me 200. If you got a third, you give me 100. So it was sort of like my little way of making money in school. Yeah, so he called and he was like, oh yeah, they've made a machine like you, like you can write you can write essays for people. And I was a bit like, okay. And then I tried to use it. I used ChatGPT the first time, and I didn't really know how to use it. So I sort of like got some responses, and I was like, yeah, this thing is not even that great. Like, and he sort of kept telling me, dude, you have to take your time. Just relax, take your time, use it. Like, you work with language. They literally made this machine for you. And I think maybe a part of me might have seen it as a form of competition, I guess. But then, and funny enough, I first started relying on it heavily for work. So for corporate work, I think if you work if you work in anything that requires you to create documents, write articles, anything like that, it's like ChatGPT is literally your best friend at this point. So I started using it from work. Then I learned how to use it from work. Then I figured out, oh wow, I can actually take this thing to my creativity as well, and it has worked absolute wonders. So basically, what my prediction is that and this is what I am using it to do. So what I'm using it to do is I am turning myself into sort of like a one-person writer studio, basically. So
Wow.
yeah, and with the power, to sort of put it in context, what does a publisher do for you? Yeah, they edit your work. They because I also work on things that require illustration, sort of like big world fiction, like Star Wars, um, Lord of the Rings, this kind of things. So the publisher is
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, so the publisher is there to get maybe translate your work to audio. Back then, you have to rent a studio, rent a reader, rent a sound engineer. Now, with the a click of a few buttons, you can have a whole audiobook in 24 hours with AI. You
Mm.
know, the publisher used to be would commission illustrations. Obviously they had to pay illustrators to do that. Now, with your ChatGPT subscription, you can illustrate as many images as you want. You just need a bit of patience for it to load. So where I see this going is it is going to empower a lot of creatives to be able to function independently in a way that we've not seen before. And my prediction is that in the current models we have now, you would have, let's say, a Disney make $1 billion a year. And then, you would have we little artists, maybe we make 20,000, 10,000 a year. My prediction is that in the future, instead of one Disney making $1 billion, you are more
Mhm.
likely to have 1,000
Thousand.
independents making $1 million.
Mm.
So we're going to see a more distributed, um, um, like a more
Flow of
distributed range.
wealth. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
I hope,
Wow.
yeah, I hope that was adequate in answering your question.
Powerful, powerful. I wanted to discuss on something. How has leadership, whether in personal, creative, or community space, influence your growth as a storyteller?
Huh. Um, Funny enough, I mean, I have this thing where I say that there are two types of artists. There are artists that I call them the showman artists. So if you think of a pastor, for example, you know how you have pastors that are very public, very like
Yeah,
they're very heavy on
understand.
performance. That's the word, very heavy on performance. And you have the ones that are sort of like more so solemn, praying inside the house for 100 days. Kind of. I've largely been more of a hidden, working behind the scene kind of person. But then what you also realize is that no matter how not outside in the community you are, you still need some kind of leadership, and it's two types. Sometimes it requires you becoming that leader, and other times it is you just need someone to open the door for you. So in
Mm.
regards of, so I'll take two of them. So for leadership, I've been very fortunate to have people that probably don't think of themselves as my mentor, but I think of them as a mentor. So say for example, the place that I did my play, African Artists Foundation, the owner, Azu, is very, very renowned art writer. He has, works in the National Geographic. This guy's been published everywhere that matters, basically. He's won literally all the awards that matter in that space. And
Wow.
yeah, and I found it interesting, like the first time I came to the place, he let me perform. He just always seemed, just reserved in his own way, but he will give you space to do what you need to do. And if you had an opportunity, and if you had an idea, and I think that's the main thing that that's the hallmark of what I think was a good leader, is someone that if you have an idea, they would create an environment that allows you to execute. So I remember sort of um, pitching the play to him, and it was through his assistants as well. Princess was his name. Yeah, sort of like pitching the play to him. And you know how some people will tell you, "Oh, come today, come tomorrow." Oh, we're not sure.
Yeah.
And he's more like an instant, like, "Yep, that sounds great. We'll do it." So yeah, there's him. There is the what should I say has been a big influence. Hmm. Hmm. I'll say he's probably played that mentorship role the most for me. And then in other places, it would just be myself now deciding that, okay, perhaps I have to be the leader now, and I have to create the community that I'm looking for. So say, for
Yeah.
example, I used to do this thing called Words as Therapy, and it got shut down during COVID and never quite came back. But it was a thing where every last Wednesday of the month, we would gather in this place called the Revolving Arts Incubator, and we would just talk about, I guess, psychological issues. So we conversations like, it can be things like, finding romance, finding meaning for your life, stuff like that. And yeah, so I find that having these spaces, and even now where I'm sort of getting into AI, is something I've already started noticing that, and it's something I'm actively trying to correct now to be more engaged in community spaces. Because I'm already noticing that, you have a lot of people. I don't know if you know this guy, Slick City CEO. I forget his real name. That's his company name. Terrible. But yeah, it's just his branding well. I can already see people like that, positioning. I don't know if you guys heard as well. There's been a launch of sort of like a sub government arm that is focused on AI and creativity as well. So yeah, I do think there is something to being in a community, because one person cannot possibly know it all. And
Correct.
yeah, and even for nothing else, just that idea that you're not the only one here. There are other people that are going through this thing that you're going through.
Correct. Currently, across Africa now, and the what I call it, the awareness to utilize artificial intelligence to solve problems, is rapidly increasing. That some governments are actually adopting it quite very well, but now comes to the point where the use case, how to effectively understand and implement it effectively well, because that is with the downside. And so FT Africa is coming to solve the problem, because just like as you mentioned, when you first got into started using ChatGPT, and you had to go back and take out time to really understand the proper use case. Now, it's a problem, because for us to become leaders, I also feel, or I actually quite well understand that the use of knowledge-based environment, ecosystem, community, tools, the artificial intelligence, and we actually rapidly give us that pure understanding of what Africa ought to be. Yeah, thank you so much, Williams, for that. Thank you very much. Thank you. And I'd like to move to that question, William. I'd like to ask, the tools you use to tell stories are changing rapidly, and that's very true. Like as you mentioned, you have to get the publisher. That was those days, not really, you have to go and print it, then you have to launch it and all of that. In your view, how has technology, particular digital platforms and now AI reshaped the way African stories are created, shared, and preserved?
Um, Change is insane. And like to be clear, these changes are actually not new at all. If you take if you take sort of the Niger Congo part of Africa, what I mean by that is from the equator down, pretty much. So Nigeria all the way down to the tip of South Africa. These regions were largely this is us going way back. These regions largely had what's the word oral traditions with their stories initially. What this meant is that what it meant to be a great storyteller in that time was also a lot about also being a great poet and a great performer, because the medium of the storytelling was the person actually saying it. That's where you get all these like stories that are songs and stuff like that. What it also meant was, there's only how long your story is going to be, because people are not going to sit down and listen to you recite the equivalent of a 400-word novel. The first break, I guess the first entrance of technology was probably moving from this oral form to this writing form. And you can already see like how this changes things. All of a sudden now, it's not really required that you're a good performer if you're a storyteller, because nobody's watching you write your novel. You write it and then you publish. So that is, I think, the first change. But also at the time that change came, and largely up until now, the industry of publishing has always been abroad. So if you think about our first writers, the Wole Soyinkas, the Chinua Achebes, who were their publishers? Macmillan. Macmillan is not a Nigerian company. What this means is, from a very early stage of us getting into the storytelling in, the text form, which is quote unquote thought of as more immortal, because, you can forget songs and stuff, but the text will always be there. So right from us getting into that, we are already in a situation where we are writing in a way that a foreign publisher has to be happy with the work before we put it out. So this is already sort of controlling the limits to the narratives you can explore. And then we sort of had this system for a very long time, sort of like the classic writing and publishing system. And then ebooks was, I guess, the first other revolution that happened. All of a sudden, it became possible to tell stories that didn't really require any publishing backdoor. You could actually write your book. In fact, currently you can write a book, put it on Amazon, and nobody's telling you what to do and what not to do, basically. So we've sort of like hit another a new frontier now, and we're entering the AI frontier. And this AI frontier is particularly interesting for a couple of reasons. First of all, this is the first time that the storytelling is also going to involve another entity that performs cognitive labor. And what this means is, it's not just us doing the writing. There is a thing with a relationship with language that we will be working with. And one of the problems I see for now, for example, is a lot of these AI are trained on global data, which Africa's data representation is not as high, simply because we don't have that degree of internet penetration to have put out as much data as like America or Europe or China. What this means is that the AI just doesn't know African things as well, just because the data is not as full. And I don't know if you notice this. Sometimes maybe you're trying to do an illustration and you've told the AI that your character is African. It knows in your story that your story is set in Africa, and it generates the image and it's a white guy, because the AI struggles to imagine a black character in that fantasy setting that you are painting, because it's not seen enough reference of that. So its first thoughts would be, oh, well, it's a fantasy story, or it's so bad when you try to do a sci-fi story. You have to keep sort of telling it, make sure the character is African, make sure the character is African. So we now this bias is something we have to start looking at this early stage, and I believe there is a responsibility for writers to overwrite it, because that's the only way around it. People sort of say, oh, but the representation is bad, like what are we going to do? And like the only thing we can do is, they're not going to delete the information of people from Europe or from America just so it's at the same level as ours. So the only thing we can do is to overwrite. So now I feel like this is a time for African writers that have real authentic stories that like that really put us, I'll put it this way, stories that put us in the perspective we would want the AI to see us, basically. So this is basically the time for that. And yeah, and I think it's going to be exciting. One of the things I'm also excited about with the technology is you come across some people that they have stories to tell, but they don't necessarily have the technical ability to write so well, or they don't even have the language to write it in the way they would want it to come out. But now, if you have a story that you want to tell, that you want to express, and you want it to sound like it could be in the New York Times, right? You don't have to, even if you're not as educated, but you know what, and I tell you this all the time, that the language itself is not a measure of intelligence. Like we can, just because you said something in 50,000 different words, it doesn't necessarily make it right or wrong. I can say it's the same thing in 3 words and it will still be right. But yeah, from a form perspective, I also feel this would make writing a lot more accessible in a way that people have not quite seen before.
Wow. Yeah, I'd like to start from something you said. The Western world actually can't really narrate or tell our stories, because for the fact that the data they have is biased, in the sense that they don't have African data. They don't have the true identity of what we are, the stories of what makes us unique, and in that regard, definitely there's no way you are going to ask or request or prompt and get something that was not actually doesn't have a bias, or is not centered on the Western ideology or Western concept. And that is actually a very big issue. And as Rex rightly said, as we keep on pushing it out, and keep on putting our story out there, you say, by right, I think that's the word you use. I'll keep on doing that. Definitely our word will get out there, and everyone will get to know this is what we stand for as Africans. Thank you so much, Williams. I'd like to also ask something else again, and this is something relating to what you were talking about earlier. I said, I'd like to say, what do you see as the biggest opportunities for African storytellers in this technological era, and what risk should we be wary of? Now, you spoke about this, about the opportunities. I want to have a deep dive into it, and also talk about the risk we should be wary of.
Okay, so I think the opportunity is massive. Currently, you can go on YouTube and just type in African folktales, and you will see uncountable stories. Now, full disclosure, these stories are not technically great stories. These stories are not, they're what people think of as AI slop stories, right? But the engagement is out of this world. You're seeing stories with millions of views, hundreds of thousands of views. It's almost like its own genre on YouTube, And obviously, these first movers are generally people that are just looking to come in to make some money, And a lot of these stories, when you read it, you can tell these stories are fully generated. They don't even sort of have connecting universes on the person's page. They're just trying to make money. Now, professionals have not yet understood that this is actually our opportunity. you sometimes you speak to some professional writers, and they sort of look at people that are posting their writing on YouTube, and they're like, oh, that's so, like, it's so beneath my writing, and I'm sort of like, okay, every other art form has taken to the streaming model, music, movies. You really think what we do is so special that it's so I think I think there is the opportunity of just being able to create on a massive volume, being able to illustrate on a massive volume, being able to animate, and the cost for these things are like I'm not joking, with $15, with $15 you can illustrate, you can convert an entire novel to audio. Just let that sink in. And that is you're using 11 labs, the top of the line AI. You're not even using so I think for a continent that has this many young people, and I don't know if you guys check, like population studies, you would see that not only are we the youngest continent, the other continents are actually shrinking in size. So we definitely are getting into a good position to be able to influence culture. That's why I also believe something like Afrobeat has been a hold for so long. Just because we have that many young people that if all of us gather and say we like something, the whole world has to kind of like it. So that's how I see those are sort of like the advantages I see. You're just bringing down production super much. This AI is completely changed my workflow. Things that, say for example, before I would have to sit down and go through a very painstaking process to build the world, because let's say you want certain cultures in your novel to be based on certain real life cultures. Now with AI, you could just say, okay, this is the culture I want to reference, and it will do the cross referencing for you and show you the link, so you're not like foraging around, looking at 1,000 links basically. So those are sort of the advantages. As for the disadvantage, I would say there is a risk of over reliance that might breed a version of laziness. So there's a risk of over reliance. There is also the risk of grifting. So grifting is what happens when someone is not like a lot of these stories I was telling you about. These people are not necessarily into this craft, but because AI has now made it easy, I can just do it and I'll still, and then that becomes a problem for people that are actually into it, because you are competing for the same attention generally. But honestly, for Africans, I really don't see like any serious disadvantage when it comes to AI. In fact, I argue all the time that I feel like this is the first time we would be able to participate in one of these inventions in a way that really serves us, and in a way that puts that puts us first. Yeah.
Well, I think I would like to come in from when you spoke about the fact that the opportunities are enormous, and also from the point when you spoke on it's really the technology really serves us to a great deal, and there's an understanding out there about the impact it has, and one thing that has happened over time, technology, I'll use the word intelligence now, which is AI, has its own implications as to the way it is being used, which you actually rightly said. Now, that's why we need to continue to tell the story about us, the positive story about us, because you might be so same way the technology can also be used to tell a wrong story. Yeah, so that's why we need to tell the positive story about. And when you mention about those YouTube, I've seen them. I'm telling you, they are the really, as you said earlier, they are so believable. And that's one painful thing about technology, intelligence or technology. Now it can give you this facade or pseudo belief. Sometimes can be true, sometimes can be true. That's why in the wrong hands, it can be somehow very has its own negative outlook also, because you can see millions of views, 2 point something million views, 3 million, and they were like, whoa, and it's just like a minute video or sometimes 3 minutes. And this is how as I would say, our impact or our stories should be spoken about, should be told, so that the whole world gets to know what we actually stand for. Thank you so much for that, William. So I'd like to ask another question now as I proceed. So William, there's something that's been in my mind, and is mostly about how we see this narrative. Now, okay, I would like to say this now. I will say, for FT Africans, we believe in responsible leadership. From your perspective, what role should leaders, whether in tech, culture, or policy, play in guiding how AI is used in the creative industries?
I think the biggest thing we need to settle on is the ethics.
Correct.
And for your question, you asked for the creative industry specifically, so I'm going to focus just on that industry. There is already an uproar about copyright violations with AI. These exist on I guess the business to business level, where you hear, for example, that I think Disney is suing Midjourney. And I feel like we are at a point where the world, we've not come to terms with it, but we are already sort of renegotiating how we think of copyrights. But we're going to need leaders that help put these things in perspective. We need to know what is fair use, what is not fair use. What is fan fiction, what is not fan fiction? Because with AI now, the difference is there was this American writer that was in court, and he was explaining how he asked the AI to write a story in his voice, and it spat out like this story that he read it, and he was thinking to himself, like, this is definitely how I write. So what stops someone else from just telling it, oh, write me a story in the style of William? So this is a style that I've spent my whole life building up, learning or whatnot. Yeah, and then someone is just gonna take a couple of my paragraphs, tell the AI to map my style, and boom. So I think there needs to be sort of that whole thing on around the ethics of what is copyrighted, what is fair use, stuff like that. I also think there needs to be someone also needs to speak up about, for lack of a better word, I would describe it as AI shaming, which is a very serious thing that happens in the writing space. I don't know about other art forms, but for the writing space, it is considered, like, some people consider it, you have sort of like the purists who, they think even if they're editing with AI is bad, like, just leave it alone. It's the devil, basically. And then you have the people that are like, oh, well, you can edit, you can, you could brainstorm, so you sort of just have this gradient. But meanwhile, we need leaders to let people understand that, look, this is a new form of technology, and you're not going to tell people how to apply it to their process. There needs to be freedom in how people see fit to apply to apply these things. So I think we need more bold voices. Like say, for example, recently there was a video of Chimamanda, and I know this is being recorded, so I sort of feel like I have to say this. I'm a big Chimamanda fan. I don't want this to get like taken out of any
Same
kind of
here.
context. Big fan, But I was watching this video and she was saying how like, oh, you shouldn't use AI, and she just sort of like stated her points and stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, look, like you have there's this video where this uh drug scientist is explaining how they have this AI that models molecules,
Hmm.
against
Yeah.
pathogens, and that sometimes and it ranks it with a confidence level, and that one of the hardest things for her was moving from was trust. This is exactly the word she used: trusting the machine's instincts. And what she explained by that is that for her to move from the point where she, with her human brain, would design a drug and test it on the machine, and the machine would be like, "Nope, this is not going to work," and she would feel a way like, what do you know? To getting to the point of understanding that this machine's rating of the confidence level is actually almost always right. And when it
Hmm.
suggests a new molecule to you or an iteration of your molecule, you need to take it seriously. So you already have like these fields, like the guy that is trying to solve one of the big mathematical problems now. He's doing it with Gemini AI. So I'm
Yes.
like, why do you think writers have to be different? Like why what is or creatives, let me not even say writers, creatives, why is it that every other form of, yeah, and as far as I'm concerned, these things are also creativity. There is creativity
Yes.
to drug making, there
Yes.
is creativity to engineering.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever opened the hood of a car? That is precision creativity at its finest,
Yes.
you know. So I'm like, yeah, why? Like, it's different from if people are completely offloading the work to the AI. But if people are working with AI, maybe to guide them, to help them brainstorm, to like, there's so many uses. Like, it's actually crazy to help them expand the world. There's just so many uses. So yeah, we need leaders that will stop this shaming thing of, like, there was even a thing that happened recently where this this is actually funny though. This writer forgot, how when the prompts come out, they have that little bit in the at the
Yes.
bottom.
Yes.
Yeah, so this writer forgot that and made it to the novel. It was an uproar. And I'm just like, but
What?
you guys know a lot of us are using this machine. She just got caught. She just got caught because she didn't delete it. You were enjoying the book anyways. You didn't know any better, So yeah, and I do understand this is a hot topic as well. But
Yes.
yeah, that's like these are sort of the things I feel leaders in the creative space, at least for now, need to comment on, because we're already at the adoption point. Even the creative leader now does not know how to use AI better than me. How long has AI been in
Correct.
the market? That's so like this is what I talk, but I tell you what I look, that we don't have that we don't have professors in AI yet. We just have masters for now, and these are people that started almost soon as that have used
Yes.
it long enough to like, there are things that some of my friends tell me to do with AI, and I'm like, what, it can do that too? But yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, Williams. AI, I'll say, coming from the technical biotechnical background, I'll say AI has come to stay, and those who use AI, when I will use the word use, those who are empowered by AI, they will tend to lead, and they will become ethical leaders. And that's one of the things FT Africa we're doing, because we actually believe using intelligence, using artificial intelligence, you can become an ethical, responsible leader, and pave the way for the right kind of understanding and ecosystem for everyone to follow. Because as you rightly said, um, that is also every part, every is creativity. Even building intelligence is creativity. And when we don't find ourselves being the forefront or forerunners of it, we'll be left behind. And as you said, most of the professors don't even know how to use it. And no, I'll be very polite to say, because the statistics are out there, in 2030, 33,000 jobs will disappear and 17,000 based on AI will appear. So imagine what will happen in just 5 years from now. And we're seeing the trend. So if you don't start using it,
let me
if you
tell
don't
you.
start, yeah, go
Let me
ahead.
tell
Please
you.
go ahead.
Now, not there. All this next year they're saying already. Look, where I work, yeah, I know the amount of workload I have to deal with on a daily. Without AI, we would have needed at least 3 to 4 copywriters to keep up. Now, just myself can manage it. So when people think of these job losses, a lot of the time they think, oh, these are people that are going to get fired. They don't understand that, no, it is that it will be difficult to get hired, because now one person is going to be so productive with these machines that they can do the work of 4 people. So employment opportunity has now disappeared for 3 people.
Get it?
You understand? Yeah. So it's already happening. It's not a tomorrow, like, it's not a tomorrow thing.
And if you remember before now, like I can say 8-10 years ago, you will not see on your job description, so you must be proficient in Microsoft and all of that. I'm telling you, in 5 years from now, you will be proficient in AI for you to get the job, because that is just the way forward. That's the future. Or I'll say that's the present.
Now. That's one now. There are already companies that are asking for that right now.
That's it.
There are already companies asking for it right now, right away, that, oh, you have to be you have to have AI. The way they will phrase it is, oh, have you integrated AI into your workflow?
Correct. That's the word. That's the word. That's the word. That's the word. Thank you so much for that, Williams. So I'd like to ask another question too, but it's still similar, but now in a different light. So some say AI can help preserve culture. Others fear it could erase authenticity, which you have actually said. But now I want to talk about now practically and specifically, how do you think we can ensure ethical use of AI while protecting creative integrity?
Okay. This one is actually a relatively easy one. Yeah. The problem, the easiest, the thing we need to do is just to make sure that the AI exists to expand on human ideas when it comes to creativity. So the AI should not exist to create the ideas. It should exist to expand it. And if that is the case, we're not going to be doing anything new. We're still like, it's okay. Think about it this way: if J.K. Rowling, put all the Harry Potter books in an AI machine now, right? She could create a prompt template that would allow her pump out one Harry Potter short story every day.
Yeah.
Right. But she has already created the base universe. That is where all the major cognitive labor is at. So we have to just constantly have that idea at the back of our heads that we as the human, you are not the machine's editor. The machine is your editor. The machine is your editor. So that's what I think the main thing is. And also I also think there's going to be a thing of and this is where it gets a bit tricky, and it's something that I really worry a bit about. The easier the process of production, the more the market is going to get flooded. So if you look at something like writing books, for example, from writing with a quill to a typewriter, you see jump in the amounts of books being written. From a typewriter to a personal computer, you see another jump. You know,
Yeah.
from when ebooks came out, we saw another jump. So
Correct.
we are going to see yet, and this is going to be the mother of all jumps. Like it's going to be a leap. This is going to be a leap. Like I'm not even thinking. You go on YouTube and you say you search sci-fi stories. There are people putting out 10 stories a day with AI. I'm just
Correct.
like, you guys can't have good things because you abuse it. Like,
Mm.
is this really necessary at this point? At this point, um, it's really necessary at this point. So yeah, and things like that, like these works, they don't care for being original. They don't care for saying anything. They're just very derivative, very generic. And but though I would have to say this as well to wrap up this bit, there even before AI, there has been a lot of derivation in creativity. Even if you think of Marvel and DC, for example, DC brings out Batman, a guy with no superpowers but with a suit and is smart and can do cool things. Marvel brings out Iron Man, no superpower, has a suit, billionaire as well. They're both billionaire. Like just they couldn't copy each other more if they tried. Um, and you sort of see this with a lot of characters. There's like Flash,
Mm.
there's another fast guy, Quicksilver, and then
Mm.
there are other speedsters as well. For novels, like oh god, how many vampire novels can we read? But there's another one coming out tomorrow. How many like people think Harry Potter is the first boarding house magics uh novel. No, it's just the biggest one that blew. But that
Yeah.
style, that genre is
Mm.
already a thing, that people do. So it's not very I'm not going to come out and say, oh, that every single human creation pre-AI has been buzzing with original thoughts. And no. So I think we're also going to see very much of that same trend go into the AI space. You're going to have people just the way they always produce, sort of like you copy someone's stuff and, just change one or the two things, and then you're going to have people that just naturally want to write original stories that neither man nor machine has seen. And then yeah, those people are still going to write yeah, those people are still going to write original stories. So it's just really being it's really being conscious of it, I guess. I'm just having that awareness in your mind pretty much.
Wow. Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, Williams. You've actually done quite a lot, done the deep dive and broken it down for because that is the reality we are in right now, and I would say that's the way forward. So I would like us to just take a pause now before let me just engage the audience, and now let's say this again before I proceed again. I'll keep your questions coming in. We are seeing them. Keep your questions coming in, and when we get to the Q&A segment, we're going to bring it up. And also remember, I said that we'll be giving out some scholarship out, and you'll be getting to some questions to answer. And so get ready. So please have that in mind. The questions will come. You may not know what the questions will be, but just get your mind open as the questions come. So then right on back to you, Williams. Now, Williams, I would like to say this, just like just share thoughts on this. Is currently you beyond the creative ecosystem now into the I will call it the tech abyss. I use that word. What is your projection? What do you feel now for Africa in particular? Now, no, we actually all we do is how to project, promote, make Africa great. Now, what do you project in this tech abyss, like this broad spectrum of technology, using intelligence to build system processes and all of that? So, what is your projection?
Okay, so Okay, so I split the AI world into three. So I have sort of like what I think of as the foundational AI world, the middle AI world, and then the tip of the AI world. So this foundational level is where you have the foundational models, guys that do like the training, people that build data centers, big stuff like that. I think Africa are going to struggle a lot in that department just because it's largely an infrastructure thing. So I think we're going to struggle a lot in that department. It's sort of in the way how even with the internet, for example, we get our, I don't know if you're aware of this, we get our internet from Europe in a literal cable that runs on the ground. So I know we're going to struggle with that section. Then the middle bit is where you have the builders. So these are people that build on top of these AI systems that already exist. Here, I think we're going to do great because we have programmers, we have population, we have a unique way of seeing the world as well, which I also think comes into play. We have a huge youth population, which in the next 10 years, these are the engineers of tomorrow, basically. So I think we're going to create a lot of cool things. And I also think with AI, it's we would have to create things that work for our markets because we know our markets,
Correct.
yeah, better than other people. So I'm quite excited for that middle place. And then the last bit that I describe as the tip of it, which shouldn't be the tip because actually the largest. This is in just everyday human labor optimization.
Mm.
And this is where I think the biggest opportunity is present. The concept of AI literacy, people think of it as just being able to talk to AI. But the way I think of it is being able to understand. It doesn't matter how crude the understanding is, having a sort of understanding of how these machines work that inform how you interact with them. And technically speaking, if you are AI literate in any one regard, you should show a degree of literacy in other regards because most of them function with language. Like language is the information that you're not typing code, you're not you're not doing anything quote unquote technical. So say for example, I have zero coding knowledge, but if you build an intelligent enough AI coder, even with my zero coding knowledge, if I know how to ask AI questions generally, I should be able to describe what I want and at least get something how would I say close enough. So I feel like on the African population as a whole needs to get in on this AI literacy. It needs to be in schools. So kids, that's one of the things I do as well. I actually have a storytelling course with AI targeted strictly for schools. And I really, really think it needs to be in schools. They need to start early. If you read about all these Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, all these guys, they all started programming. Almost every efficient programmer started
Correct.
programming from a relatively young age. Whether they're just coding games or whether like it starts early. So yeah, my outlook, my prediction is that we're not going to do so great on the foundational level. I'm hoping we at least do something. I'm going to at least do something. I think we're going to do quite well on the builder level where we're building on already existing interfaces. The only thing I worry about for that is that we're not priced out of tokens. But I reckon these things are going to get more competitive. You're going to have Chinese models that would be way, way cheaper. So if American, yeah, hopefully that will be sorted as well. And then the final bit is just for mass adoption, and I'm actually quite hopeful for the mass adoption as well, because Nigerians are quite, say for example, for crypto, we have one of the highest adoption rates for crypto, and crypto is, in my opinion, infinitely more convoluted to get into and to deal with than AI. So I'm actually quite optimistic.
Yeah, correct. So, thank you so much, William, for that insight. I'd like to just pick from your words, and I'll say, what we as an ecosystem, FT Africa now, we are actually building that, making the availability and the accessibility and awareness to Africans, just a push of a button. What do I mean by push of a button? Getting to the FTA Africa ecosystem gives you that opportunity for you to build using the languages that used to build AI, you build models, build systems, and all of that to make it available for for the massive use. So I think that's where FTA Africa is actually where we are, and I'll tell you, I'm being positive that in no time we'll find ourselves building data centers across Africa. With the involvement of big players, it might not be anytime soon, actually, but in no time soon, we're able to be, Africa is now building their own data centers, because you and I know that that's only when we can have our own uniqueness, our own unique identity. Because now, for example, now every data we are calling, it's not based in Africa, and they are all being compiled, put together, and stored somewhere across the globe. And that's why our voices, our identity, we always be, I would like call it, we will be, like call it, be dissolved. I think that should be the word for to use. So, but when we now have our own, imagine now, for example, now the whole Africa has a data center or a data server, and all our data is stored there, and we can easily communicate with those information because it was built by Africans. I get me now. It's video Africans, so therefore we'll be able to like really interface, interact, and use it. Use those information ethically for our good. So I have that as just to add to your own words, and think we can do it. Africa, we can do it.
But
I'm very optimistic.
Yes, I believe MTN already has some data centers in Africa. And I think there's another player announced building one. I think mid this year. So it's not that there are not going to be any data centers or that there are no data centers. We definitely have, and I think if perhaps it would be cool if, say, we start having laws that mandate that data storage must be local.
Correct.
Things like this put pressure, even for these international companies. It puts pressure for them to come and build it here. If you need the market. So yeah.
Correct. That is it. Thank you so much, Williams. So we're now in the our next segment before we call in the final question for our guest. Now, this segment is the FT Africa Spotlight. So before we move to our final question with our guest and to the Q&A, I'd like to share a moment to spotlight FT Africa's biggest initiative, which is the AI Vanguard Quest. The AI Vanguard Quest is our 3-tier AI tech leadership training ecosystem designed to take participants from foundational knowledge all the way to the executive level mastery. It's built around 11 AI programs that train you not just in AI and technology, but also in how to be an ethical, responsible leader. The first year, which is the AI Ignition Trail, the Novus, this is where we start building strong foundations in AI, ethical awareness, and leadership principles. Our next edition, which is Nova 2, we build rather on the sources of Nova 1, taking participants deeper into real-world applications. Then our tier 2 is the Pathfinder Challenge, which is our Ascent. These are intermediate stage, focus on developing leaders who can design, lead, and scale AI-driven projects. Ascent 1 will be launching soon in September, and it's aimed at innovators ready to take their leadership skills to the next level. And lastly, which is the tier 3, is the Vanguard APES, which is our commands. This is the advanced professional executive level, equipping high impact leaders to shape AI strategy and governance across industries and sectors. Whether you're a student, a professional, or a leader in policy and strategy, there's a place for you in the AI Vanguard Quest. So currently now, there'll be a sign up link, but I'll play a quick video to show you what FT Africa is all about. So if you don't mind, give me just 10 seconds and we'll be on.
The future of Africa in AI begins now. At FTL Africa, Nova 2 is your ignition train. Explore cutting-edge tracks built for creators and communicators.
Master the skills shaping the future of tech. Engineer systems that power the world.
Lead with responsibility. Shape the future of Africa.
Don't just watch the AI revolution. Be part of it. Apply now and ignite your journey with Nova 2.
Hi. So that's the AI Ignition Trail, which is the Nova, and that's for the first year. So these are Nova. Then now I'm going to play for you the ad or the video for the Pathfinder charge. Here it is.
Want to lead Africa's AI revolution?
12 weeks minimum, 9 weeks classes, 2 weeks capstone build, 1 week demo and defense, mentors, real projects.
Lead the future of AI with tracks like Product Manager, Marketing Strategist, Workflow Explorer, and AI Ethicist, shaping innovation with vision and responsibility. Build and power AI systems as a data engineer, AI translator, engagement specialist, developer, or AI ops engineer, driving impact with advanced integration. Go deeper with prompt engineering, AI security and governance, and research and model development, pioneering the next wave of AI innovation.
Spots are filling fast. Apply today and ascend with Pathfinder Charge.
So, and that is it. Thank you so much. So that is 2 tiers. We have that's 2 tiers, tier 1 and tier 2, which is currently we are heading to Nova 2. Nova 1 is doing the final, the capstone and defense project, which will be on 31st next week Sunday by 6:30 p.m. West African time, and you're also invited to come for that and see what class AI presentation on different project solutions being provided, which are African centric or based on solving African problems. So the registration for Nova 1, Nova 2 rather, is out. So yeah, you can, I guess you could see from the screen, you could see that the links, you'll be getting the links on the chat box. And we just project it for you also quickly, so you can also see the get to see the link. So yeah, this. Okay. All right. So yeah, the link. Then if you can see clearly, coming out, you see now. All right. Yeah, this. So bit.ly//forward/ AI hyphen Nova 2. That is the link. So you could register for Nova 2. And take the opportunity of becoming an AI expert. So don't miss out. Don't miss the opportunity. Also, we also have an Ascend for you to get into the Ascend program. You must have a strong basic understanding of artificial intelligence and tech, and that's where you'll be considered. But when you graduate from the AI Ignition Trail, for many of the novas, you automatically qualify to apply for the Pathfinder Child, which is our Ascent. So, and that is it. So we've got you getting on more of the links will be coming on the chat, so you can more links will be coming, and you can easily engage. So as I ask the final question to our esteemed guest, I think we can see some questions here on the chat box, and then we'll I think we should go. Williams, why don't we go with the Q&A? The Q&A, then I will come with your final question, and we'll wrap it up there. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that works fine.
All right, great. So, okay, I think we have the first question we have is as a writer, before the reign of AI, what are the basic challenges you faced?
The dark days of past. I mean, the good thing about writing before AI is we didn't know AI was going to exist. So we never felt like, it was just writing irregularly then. I would say the hardest thing for writers would be a lot of it would just be getting seen. I would say that's probably the hardest part, because a very big aspect of writing has to do with your name recognition. People are going to buy the next James Patterson book because it has James Patterson in front of it. If I wrote a book and put his name in front of it, people will read it. So I would say that's probably the hardest bit. And the only way to get known is to actually write and publish. A lot of writers think that somehow the world would come to you, the writer, but it's actually the other way around. We always have to go out. If you remember the story I was telling earlier, I think one of the it's not the writing itself was not, it's just Bella Naija is like a lifestyle publication. So the writing itself was not anything sophisticated, but I feel like that position, because of what Bella Naija was at the time as well, this was before social media completely took over. Those days you could get like 200, 100 comments on an article. And so I feel like that spotlighting was probably one of the most pivotal parts of the career. And the hardest part of it is actually obviously the writing itself, but that's really just a matter of practice. You just have to write and then write some more and then write some more and then tear the old one you wrote and write some more and just on and on and on. But yeah, I would say figuring out a way to spotlight your writing is probably the hardest thing. And also getting publishers as well. That's another nightmare. Getting publishers, but and it's funny because I've actually had to turn down 2 publishers, but it's not it's also because it's not just getting publishers, it's getting the right publisher as well. But yeah, those are the major ones.
Wow, thank you so much for that. So thank you so much. So I have another question, and it says what encouraged you to go forward in your writing skill? When I was young, I loved writing stories. In fact, like you said, I made up stories and people find them interesting. Along the line, I started writing writing in books and want people to read it. But no, only few people had interest with this. I lost interest in writing. If you could share what encouraged you in your writing ability before the assistance of AI.
Okay. I wish I had a less arrogant answer for you, but my main inspiration has been a almost ridiculous belief that like I have to be the best at this thing. Like just like it's almost irrational. I mean, there's no best because we are all good in different ways, but I've always thought to myself like I'm not just like I want to write at the standard of like all the great writers that I admire and stuff like that. So that's been one big one for me. Also, I genuinely enjoy the just people being fascinated with my work. I'm a very big. I don't think there's very few things as sweet as someone telling me, "Oh, I read your stuff and I liked it." Regarding what you said about you used to tell the stories, then when you started writing it, it was not entering as much. Generally, reading is someone that would sit down and watch a story might not necessarily sit down to read it, even if it's exactly the same story, or sit down and listen to a story, even if it's exactly the same story. Because reading it requires a bit more commitment, so to speak. And for you to now get your writing to a state where, generally speaking, people will be reading, that also comes with its own stress. You have written and modified your style because how we think we write how we speak and in some little ways we do, but in a lot of ways we also don't. So it's something where I would imagine if you are just stuck to it and keep pushing it, and sometimes it's also finding your tribe, so knowing that, okay, if you do horror stories, maybe you need to go and join a group on Facebook where they are horror story fans, and you can share it within those circle of fans, and then that those guys might they might buy. But yeah, for me, it's really just this never-ending quest of wanting to be the best and just wanting to tell stories that are just so epic that like yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that question. Now, before we go to the final question, then we'll bring it to an end. Now, the question is this. No, I'm talking about the question. The question is very simple. That's only if you've been paying attention. Now, our guest, the question is this. I say it now. Our guest talked about his first degree and where he got the degree. So it's a two-in-one question. So now this is the first question. For once you get this question, you type it in the chat box. You just have before we commence the final question for our guest, you need to provide the answer, and automatically, if you get it, the winner, the guest will tell you if you got it right or wrong. And if you got it right, we'll announce it and you drop your email, then we'll reach out to you. So the question is this. Sorry for saying that word again twice, several times. Our guest said his first degree is what? He mentioned it from the beginning, and he schooled in where? So that's the question. Where did he have he schooled in where, and what was his first degree? So you can drop in the chat. I guess that question, you got it. I'll repeat again. Our guest, William Ifeanyi Moore, schooled in where, what part of the world, and where, and what was his first degree? Okay, you just have some few minutes to get that ready. And also, what is, now I mentioned that FT Africa has 3 tiers. What is the last tier? What's the last tier, and what is the name, and what is what's the program called? The name of the tier and what are the programs called? Just like, for example, now the AI ignition trail is called Nova. What is the tier 3 code, and what is this the program name code? So that are 2 questions you answer. So what happens? Okay, let's do it this way. While our guest is answering, we're talking about rounding up. So before he finishes, is answering the questions or the last question, you can drop your answer on the chat box and we'll take it up from there. Okay. We just got more questions coming in. Okay, we might be able to take it. Let's see. Let's see if we can take it. Okay. Okay. Can we go ahead? We have 2 questions.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So now the question we have is, they say writers are readers, but let me see this question very well. Okay. But with the aid of AI, I don't think some writers we'll have to read more. Unlike those times where AI wasn't available. What's your take on this, sir?
Actually, no, it's going to be the opposite. I think because, okay, I'll put it this way. Technically speaking, I guess you're right. You don't have to read as much for you to be able to produce language that looks like you read much. But for you to be able to direct it in the best way possible, you're going to need to read a lot. And what I mean by that is, so say, for example, if I were writing something and I wanted it to have really good prose, I would need to have read enough writers to study their prose to know that I can tell, okay, give me prose that sound like George Orwell, or give me prose that sound like Chimamanda. So and then even when you are instructing the AI as well, I also think it's a very big vocabulary game. So people are going to need to actually have really good vocabulary. In fact, I think these AI things are great for writers, because if you have a good vocabulary and you know sort of like the texture of language, it would be great for you. But yeah, you wouldn't necessarily have to read as much to produce language. And to be honest, for a while now, I don't think writers have had to read as much. And I think it's because now there are other mediums you can consume stories to. Like, you could watch movies, you could listen. And if you think about it this way, think about how much has been. Have you ever noticed how you meet some like 4-year-olds and they already know so many words? It's not because they're geniuses in this generation. It's just that while we, the few songs we could manage was the ones our parents would sing, these kids are now out on YouTube, like straight out the womb. So they just have more language constantly being poured at them. So they're gonna have just better language capacity generally. And it's sort of like same thing basically, so you want to put yourself in a position where you know enough to prompt properly. And it's not even just, this is something I have to say, for writing especially, it's not even about knowing how to write. It's also understanding the technical details of writing fundamentally. You need to know, what does a 3-act plot structure mean? What does a 5-act plot structure mean? What does belling the cat mean? What are the anagrams in personality in writing? How can you fuse the Myers-Briggs personality method into your character? There's so many technical things you would need to understand to use AI as a writer well, just so it's actually easier for you to use the AI. So I'll wrap it up by putting it this way. If I am well read and I can write, and I'm using AI, and you are not well read, can't write so well, and you are also using AI, you're not going to be able to write as well as me just because you're using AI. I'm still going to write better than you. So it's going to be a thing where the well-read people are writing even better books. So if you want to compete, you would still have to expose yourself to stories.
Wow. Wow, that's powerful.
Good in Nigeria, first degree dentistry. Oh Lord.
Don't worry, let it keep coming. Don't worry.
Fun fact though, I almost did dentistry. I almost did dentistry. It was in the pool. It was in the pool of
Okay.
options
Okay.
available in the Nigerian homes.
Okay. Really? Can you imagine? Okay. Okay. Now, there's a second question I would like to ask you quickly. I don't know. Okay, let's go to the next question. And the question is this. The question is, now the advent of AI in cybersecurity, it has made threat detection more efficient for SOC analysts, which seems a great deal. But what if malicious attackers discover how to use it to advance attack pattern? Should we be worried?
I mean, it's just one of my favorite sayings is that evil you have to always be ready to fight evil because it never dies. You know, it never dies. It's a thing we do every day. There's always going to be malicious players, and we just have to hope that they are not as much as the good players, and they never are. There always just a few bad eggs. And it will be a thing where I see it growing as well. As much as you're gonna have people growing in creating AI viruses, you're also gonna have people growing in creating AI antiviruses. And it's still, there's also been talk of a quantum internet that is like unhackable. I'm probably not calling it the right name, but yeah, it's one of those things where I would imagine there are entire companies that their bottom line depends on keeping keeping people safe and secure online. So I reckon it will be, there's going to be a period of problem where these things are, maybe it's just like those early days of viruses with like just on the internet, where you could click any one picture and bam, your computer is infected. And now, like, I don't even remember when last I met someone that said their computer was infected. Whereas in the early 2000s, almost you could pick up a virus from almost any site that you popped up on. And so it would be, and some of the things as well will just be, you remember the year when before you watch the movie, there'd be like 20 pop-ups you'd have to close, and one of those pop-ups probably has a virus in it. But now it's all that has been phased out, so it's going to be like that as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, William. It's been a wonderful time as we start wrapping up to the last question. As we discuss how to wrap up. So we've gotten some answers, but there's an answer that's suspicious that was gotten from the internet. Because why you didn't mention the name of your school while you were here. You only mentioned the country and you mentioned the program. So that answer was Googled.
Actually, I want to know if it was Googled or if it was AI.
It was Googled because you didn't mention the name of your school, of your university. You only mentioned the country and you mentioned the program. So that's disqualified. That's disqualified.
I didn't think this information would be on Google, actually.
Really?
Yeah. I actually didn't think it would be. Oh, yes. Oh. My LinkedIn.
Oh, okay.
Good one.
Right, actually, we're asking for the information he shared on this session. So you see now that's why human interference or what's it called now, human involvement is also very good in intelligence, so we can sift out what works and what does not work. So we're still waiting. Yes, the answer has been gotten, but that was some of the answers given. They were not actually what was stated on the session. As soon as you introduce yourself, I have to go to know you are as a reader. Oh, I see. So okay. All right. So now the last question. Okay. Now there are two questions. So William, what do you think?
From which ones?
Now, as ethical leaders, we must. Okay. Okay. Now the second question is okay. The answer is personal charge. Okay. What's the program called? It's not complete. It got one part. The other part is that what's the program called? The tier 3 is called personal charge, but what is the program called? Yeah. So now for the answer that was given, William, what do you think? Should that person be, as ethical leaders, we must be, it was sincere. He came forward and said this is what he did, right? That was how I was able to get those information. So what do you think? Should he be given the opportunity based on it was sincere, or it was just simply based on the rules we gave that it must be from the event?
It's not me you throw under the bus like this, so. But there's someone at the top that said school outside the country studied pharmacy.
Wrong. It's supposed to call the name of the country. That's what required.
Okay, they didn't call the name of the country. So this is more specific.
Yeah, it's more specific. Yeah. Okay, don't worry. Don't worry. Why? I think remains on this as we talk about, as we discuss the last question. Then you give your final word on that. So the final question, as we close this section, I would like to say now it's similar to the previous question that was asked, but this now is specific. So looking ahead 5 to 10 years, what's your vision for the intersection of identity, storytelling, and AI? And what advice would you give to young African creators who want to lead responsibly in this space?
Okay, I think AI is going to actually redefine the global identity. I think it's going to redefine global culture, and it's going to make us rethink. It's going to make us rethink how we think of ourselves, because as much as and to be very, very clear, and I want to be extremely clear on this, I do not think in any way that AI systems have anything even remotely close to consciousness. I do not believe they have any anthropomorphic quality at all. Like I don't believe the machines don't think, they calculate, basically. Yeah. But yes. But because their performance is so lifelike, I believe that we already see people sort of like referring to AIs almost as if they have like personalities, like when the ChatGPT 5 came out, people were mad that it didn't have ChatGPT's 4 personality. Like that's what they were more mad at. Like they couldn't even explain why they were mad. They were just saying it doesn't feel like like the one we know. So I think on the long run, we're going to enter a state of it's going to be the first time when there is another thing on the planet that we somehow, I don't know, that we, especially if we get to super intelligence, there will be another thing on the planet that we look at, that would help us. It's just like, okay, like if aliens ever invaded us, for example, right? all the countries would have to partner up to fight the aliens. It wouldn't matter whether we are quarreling before or whether, because now there's another, there's another order that
External.
forces us
That's
to,
correct.
yeah, to become together. So I do think we're going to see some kind. I can't fully see it yet, but I definitely think it would it would change the world in that way. Say for example, there were studies that are showing that the use of certain words, um, uh, that are sort of like Chat GPT words. So a study was showing that the use of these words have risen not just in text, but people are even saying these words at meetings. They are saying it like in normal business conversations. Some of the words up to 51% increase in its use. So this is an example of how culture is already changing with AI, and while before the change will be happening wherever the technology is located. So maybe these changes will be happening, say for example, when Facebook was new, the change was first happening around campuses in America, then campuses in UK, then spread. But now these changes are going to be happening everywhere in real time. Which is it's quite new for us as well. So we're going to be seeing slangs travel at the speed of light. It's going to be a new culture, but then it now becomes, when we enter sort of this new techno hegemony, let's say, and also as well, a lot of the things that forms the foundation of a culture is what they ask the questions of their existence to. So say for example, there's a thing you notice people do now where they want to check if something is true or not. They ask AI, which is horrible, by the way. I mean, it's not completely horrible, but like it can be horrible in certain cases.
Very popular on X. Very popular on X.
Yeah, but it's become a commonplace thing. So it goes back to what I was telling you about. We are starting to give the AI that trust.
Yes.
And it's an entity that the word has authority. That the word has authority. So yeah, with these kinds of behaviors, we're going to see, there's going to be a lot of cultural blending. So creators it's now become very important for creators to keep these past essences alive. So it's almost like we have to become the museums of tomorrow. Yeah, we have to start building the museums of tomorrow now. If you think of it as what we already see in real life, say for example, there are bronze sculpting techniques that you had in old Igbo land in Igbo. We don't even know how to do that now. Like they found the relics in but we don't even know how to do that now. Right? Because the time has moved on. Obviously, there are things we can do now that they couldn't do then. But imagine if someone had a way to preserve what that technique was. Even if we were not doing it now, at least we would have the memory. We would know, okay, our forefathers were smelting iron at XYZ degrees. They had, that information will be there. So, yeah, like I said, we now just have to wear that. We have to understand that we are now timekeepers, because time with AI, time is going to start moving. It's going to feel like it's moving faster because there's more information. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That well said, perfectly said. Thank you so much, Mo. So I think we all got that, and as I wrapping up, I would like okay, the two questions. One was partially said. One was said correctly, but there was reservation on it. So for wrap up this section, for say the final words, William, what do you say? Should that person be giving?
Oh Lord.
Okay, now, let me help you. Based on the fact that one, we wanted the exact answer you
I
gave.
think I had a toss.
Sorry, go ahead.
I have a coin here I can toss.
Okay, toss it. Let's see.
Yes, when in doubt. Okay, so heads or tails? If it's heads, we'll go with the first one, the
Okay.
Jutsutomi. If it's tails, we'll go with the bottom one.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. And we have, oh my bad, tails.
Tails. Okay. So that goes with the other person, right?
Yes.
That's cereal.
Yeah.
Cereal. All right.
Justice does not lie, it seems.
Yeah, justice doesn't lie. That's true. So cereal, yes, they really has it. So congratulations, cereal. You got the first slot. This second slot, we are not sure because we asked the question is not complete. We just have one answer. It will be 2-1. So we will not be able to give it out. But we have a guest. So I don't know if he what he has to say about that also. Now it will be the answer. Okay, let me give the answer now. No, let me hold on to that answer because
Honestly, I am very, very impressed that they even got Pathfinder charge.
yeah.
I'm actually, I don't even know the what follows it. I don't even know what follows it. So this is even more impressive than the person that got my own.
Okay. Based on the words of our guest, I think we're giving that out too also. So we have to so please you can forward your name and your ascend to Pathfinder charge last guess. Ascend 2. No, not ascend 2, is ascend 1. You got yeah, you got the try. It's ascend 1. Ascend 1 is the first one. It's not the second one. So the next one, after this one, we are doing it starting in September. The next one will be ascend 2. This is the first one, ascend 1. So congratulations. So we have 2. So you can send your mail to future. Let me type it here. Future Tech Leaders Africa at gmail.com. So Future Tech Leaders Africa. That's a mistake here. Future Tech Leaders Africa at gmail.com. Send a message here and we'll respond. So send a message to that mail and you get a response with everything you need. So that brings us to the end. Thank you so much. Please send your flowers. Let's appreciate our guests for your time, for staying true to the end. Please let me see your flowers coming in. Let me see your flowers coming in. Let me see your flowers coming in, everyone. So as we thank you, Williams. Now we open the floor. Okay, yeah, we what's it called now? We open the floor for future opportunities, future insights, future collaboration, future Fireside, because you said it all. It's the only way for us to build is to come together and share ideas and make Africa great again. So while William, we thank you for sharing your insights. While this section is not a one-off, we'll be glad to have you subsequently. And we also want to say thank you for reminding us that technology should amplify, not replace the human spirit. To our audience, thank you for joining us. Please follow William's work, support this project, and stay connected with FT Africa for more conversation like this. So please, I would like the team, William, you can drop your LinkedIn on the chat box so that everyone can follow you. And while our guest is doing that, we will share a replay. So still, you can follow us on our social media platform. Share today's. You can go. So what we'll do is this: on our, we'll check out for you. Do this for us to make it more easy for us. On our ecosystem, let us know. Go to our go on this post on LinkedIn. Just type in your insight and stylishly drop your email. So we want to share this insight for you. Stylishly drop your email, respond on the comment section on LinkedIn for this event. Talk about what you learned, how insightful it was to you, and how you're going to use it to move forward in your journey, and tell your story as an African, as a creative, as a tech expert, as an AI enthusiast. And just drop your email, or you can just send us a mail via Future Tech Leaders Africa at gmail.com, and you get the replay of this link. So once again, thank you very much. And I don't know if our guest, if you are okay, thank you, William, for dropping the link. So please follow up, click on the link and join, and follow Williams on LinkedIn. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, okay. Okay, these are the important links. So please, our team will also copy these links. Team, please copy these links as we also take it up from there also. So thank you so much. So please click, just I'll give 10 seconds for that, so we can follow up on that. So please, thank you once again, everyone. It's been a wonderful time having everyone. I enjoyed myself. I don't know if you did, but I enjoyed myself. A lot was learned, a lot was understood, new insights, and that's what we do in FT Africa. Sharing insights, coming together, building a strong community. Remember what our guest talked about: building a community of insightful, learned Africans, where we can come together, share, and build a future where everyone across the globe will see Africa and respect us as Africans. So that brings us to the end, and thank you very much, everybody. See you soon. See you next Fireside, and stay blessed. Bye for now.
Apply now and ignite your journey with Nova 2.
The future of Africa in AI begins now. At FTL Africa, Nova 2 is your ignition train. Explore cutting-edge tracks built for creators and communicators.
Master the skills shaping the future of tech. Engineer systems that power the world.
Lead with responsibility. Shape the future of Africa.
Don't just watch the AI revolution. Be part of it. Apply now and ignite your journey with Nova 2.